All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are privileged to have here with us in our studio. We have two individuals who represent vastly diverse opinions on various things. Is it vastly or half vastly? I'm not sure. Thank you. I'm here all week. Yeah, that's John King over there. We also have Charlie Brown, who's been a guest several times the last couple of weeks, and Will Deschamps has had an opportunity to join us as well this morning. So, gentlemen, I want to say welcome to all of you. Charlie, I don't have a microphone.
Well,
so.
I'll slide it over.
There you go. All right, sir. So, Charlie, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And Will, how are you, sir?
Good morning.
All right, you both. Will has a notebook, and Charlie is just off the cuff today.
Charlie's had enough notes in
Okay,
the
all
last
right,
2
all right.
months. Yeah.
So, gentlemen, it is election day. Polls are open right now. So, I guess I'll ask you the big question. I'll start with Will. So, the presidential race. How do you think it's looking?
I don't have a clue.
Okay.
I think it's me. I was listening to Charlie talk in the ante room. I don't think anybody today can say exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be very close, in my opinion. I think there's voters out there that we haven't heard from yet and haven't heard from in a long time that have been energized by both sides. But we'll see what happens.
Okay. Charlie, what do you think?
Well, I think it's going to be anywhere from 330, 325 to 360 for Hillary Clinton in electoral votes. I think it's going to be an early evening in all probability. The state, to me, to watch is North Carolina. If Hillary wins North Carolina, it's pretty much going to be over.
So the dominoes will start falling from there. Okay.
The other thing that nobody really is talking about until the last few days, we're seeing it all over this country, the Latino vote in Nevada is 211% of what it was in the last presidential. It's 140% over the all-time high that they voted for Obama in 2012. The Latinos are really coming out. It's obvious why. I don't think we need to go into that, but no, I think it's a very decided race. I think what isn't decided are the senatorial races.
Okay. All right. Now, there have been articles recently here saying that the Democrats are not quite as sure of gaining more seats as they were in the past because of the tightening race for the presidency. So how do you view that? We'll start with you on that, Charlie, and then go to Will.
You want to start?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. To me, anytime you have a presidential victory that's very pronounced, then you get a lot of coattailing. So that will help the candidates. I think New Hampshire and North Carolina and Pennsylvania are all very close in polling, and depending on what poll you read, you can pick your winner. The only senator that's truly safe this year that I know of is Portman, and that's amazing because Hillary's leading in that state, but Portman is a very popular senator,
Okay.
much like Kasich is a governor.
Okay. So go ahead, John.
Yeah, so I want to ask a touchy question, and this is, I want you to just for a second imagine that the party represented by the candidate you support, I know in this case it's Charlie Brown supporting Hillary, and Will Deschamps is supporting Trump. I want you to imagine that tomorrow your candidate is the loser, and I want you to give recommendations to your party or to that party to change, to maybe do better in 4 years from now.
Okay, so I'm going to start with Will on that one. So what do you think? Let's say Trump does lose. And
Well, first of all, let me address New Hampshire since Charlie mentioned it.
Go ahead.
The earliest precinct to register any votes this morning was
Dixville Notch.
Dixville Notch voted Trump over Hillary. It was close, but Trump won.
All 42 of them.
Tomorrow
That's
tomorrow morning,
pretty decisively.
tomorrow morning we're still going to be a divided country. That's the problem, no matter who wins. And I believe the division in the country is deeper than it's ever been since I've been involved with politics. I haven't been as involved as long as Charlie has, but then I'm a lot younger than he is.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
Zing!
Pretty early for those kind of shots. Well,
I just want to set the tone.
I've known him for a while,
So I think that's what, no matter who wins, that's going to be job one for whoever ends up taking office in January. Is it how do you start to heal all the wounds that have been opened up and the scars that have been reopened in the last 18 months? This is absolutely one of the worst, most divisive, hateful campaigns that I've ever seen. And I've been involved since my father was in the legislature in the 60s. So there's a big job for whoever wins tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I think in the announcement that I heard from Hillary Clinton this morning, she's already talking about trying to heal the wounds and all that jazz, and many of the wounds have been inflicted by her and her campaign, as well as Mr. Trump and his campaign. I mean, it has been. Both of you said it's been a vicious campaign, and people. I think people, in just my opinion, I think the people of America were hungry to hear, okay, we've got unemployment, we've got immigration problems, we've got all these things going on in our country, and you guys can't stop attacking each other. Can you please just give us some ideas of how you'll make things better for America? And I haven't seen a whole lot of that. So.
Well, yeah, it's tough to hear the sorts of rhetoric that we've heard in the last few months, and come away with anything positive.
Right.
The day will come, though, that there'll be a come to Jesus meeting. Pardon my French. When people are going to have to decide, we're going to move forward. My feeling today is that isn't going to happen real soon. No matter who wins the election.
Referencing John's question. So let's say Trump loses, and you're addressing the Republican Party. What do you tell him?
I tell him that lick your wounds, get up tomorrow morning, and start working for 4 years from now. Find a candidate that is more recognized and accessible to the general population. Right now, we have probably fringe candidates. As much as I am supporting Donald Trump, he has his foibles as well as Hillary Clinton does. And those sorts of things are what has driven us to the day or the point that we are now. So we need to start finding candidates now instead of waiting till the last minute.
So, Charlie, let's say Hillary Clinton loses, and so you're addressing the Democrats. What do you tell them?
I would tell them the same thing I've told everyone all along. When you lose a race, you want to bring this country back together. So what you say to the people around you is go forward and understand that you need to make amends because we're all Americans in the final run. As Will said, that's not going to be easy. There's been a lot of divisive and bigoted and racist remarks in this campaign, which I think are funneling some of this. The other thing is I think there's a certain amount of the working class that feels, especially in the manufacturing industry, that feels like they've been left behind, or the production industry like mining, that, we need to come together as a nation. I hope, as I told John before we started today, the Democrats win the Senate. That will put Chuck Schumer as the majority leader, Paul Ryan as the House leader. Those two men I know will work together for a change, and we won't have the divisiveness in those two houses. When they poll, it's really quite interesting. The one thing Americans keep talking about is the divisiveness of the Congress, and I think we could solve that problem very easily if that happens. And frankly, I don't think it matters as much who gets elected, because I think there will be a coming to Jesus now. I really believe that.
We're up against a come to Jesus commercial moment here, so we're going to come right back. By the way, all 4 of our lines are open. We would love to have you weigh in on this, whether you are in the Charlie Brown camp or the Will Deschamps camp, or in your own camp, or you're an independent camp. Maybe you're out camping. 721-1290 is our number. We're going to come right back. We'd love to hear from you and get the conversation going. Stay with us. We're back. This is Talkback. 721-1290 is our number, 1-800-568-5309. And we're going to start going to the phones right away. So let's get to it right now and say good morning to Joe. Joe, good morning. You're on Talkback. And our guests, Charlie Brown and Will Deschamps. Hi.
How's it going?
Good. What's up?
Oh, not a lot. I was just figuring I'd ask Charlie, since he's the president or whatnot of the Democratic Party of Montana, if he believed that...
I don't. Hold on. Definitions first. Are you the president?
No.
No. The chairman of the Democratic Party.
No.
He's not. Okay. So go ahead. But what's your question, Joe?
Oh, okay. So, does Charlie believe that Hillary should be charged with destroying all those emails, deleting them, destroying the laptop they're on, and all the other devices? Because if any other member of government would have done that, they would have been charged, convicted, and put into jail.
All right, let's ask it. All right, thanks for the call, Joe. So, Charlie, you've already addressed this the last time you were on.
We can beat emails to death. I think Will said it well. We have these red herrings that everybody's throwing up. The FBI has been through now over 90,000 emails. They've done cross-checks, the sophistication of their system, and they have found nothing. I feel bad for her having the independent system, but quite frankly, the last three, Lisa Rice admitted she had, Colin Powell had, and it goes back for a long time. And I don't think it's wise for anybody to have one. But I think that should just go away. I'm really tired of hearing it.
All right, Charlie. Will, do you want to comment?
Well, the emails will be what they will be, but I think the real concern that I have is that she lied to Congress. She's lied to the public. Anybody else that would have done that would probably be looking at somewhere else or looking for a good attorney. That's where the hypocrisy that I see in particularly the Democrat Party on the national scene, and it should concern everybody.
Okay, let's get back to the phones. Ellie Hill, good morning. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. This is Representative Ellie Hill calling from Missoula. Hi, Charlie and Will.
Yes, ma'am. What's on your mind?
Hey, I'm calling actually. We've been talking a lot about the presidential race, but as a legislator, of course, my eye is on the governor's race.
Okay.
And so I was hoping that both Will and Charlie could, a lot of polling right now is showing that our incumbent Governor Steve Bullock will likely win tonight. And so I wanted to talk a little bit what that means to what the legislature will look like. Last session, we were able to accomplish a lot of the governor's agenda with sort of what we call common sense Republicans and sort of the difference between what I see as a fracture in the Republican Party and whether or not, again, we'll be able to accomplish a lot of the governor's goals working with the middle of the road.
So Ellie, hang on. Is a common sense Republican somebody who agrees with you?
He's quick today, Ellie. Watch out.
A lot of the folks, they call themselves that, the common sense Republicans.
Okay.
So, and they certainly definitely don't agree with me on everything, but enough of what most Montanans agree with to get the work done that we need to get done, like the infrastructure bill, for example.
Okay, so let's let Will start on that one. What do you think?
Well, Ellie, if I knew you were going to call, I'd have brought all the bills that you voted against and voted for, too. So, and I don't know what polling you've been looking to. It must have been internals for Bullock, but yesterday the polling had him at 46-46. We'll see what happens tonight. So I disagree with you on that. As far as the divisions within the Republican Party, you well know that I was a chairman for 6 years, and I tried my best to try and bring everybody together. And it's people that are very, very involved in where they stand and what they believe. That's the way they vote. You mentioned the infrastructure bill. That's an interesting one in that there was a three-way bill or three-way funding, $50 million, $50 million, $50 million, and the governor would not even visit with anybody or back off on a changing of that formula, and I believe that's one of the reasons that it failed. Now, as far as the Republican Party coming together, I think that if, as you say, Governor Bullock wins tonight, I think that the Republican Party will be even more unified.
Okay, Charlie, what do you think?
Well, I was a registered lobbyist, as Ellie knows, in the last legislative session. And I watched Bullock, and I thought he was very skillful at working with Republicans and Democrats. I wouldn't call him moderate or conservative. I'd call him thinking Republicans that he worked with. Ed Buttrey, for instance, he passed the health bill, Medicare health bill with. He worked with Bruce Tudvet on the Flathead Kootenai-Salish agreement. He worked with Tom Berry on several pieces of labor legislation. These people came together because they're Montanans working for Montana. And I truly believe that Bullock made some real inroads with those people. The polls I've seen, the national polls, show Bullock ahead somewhere between 6 and 8%. But the point being that we all need to come together. I think John said that earlier today. But the point is we need people to work for the good of this state and for the United States, period.
Okay. Ellie, thanks for your call. Appreciate it. We're going to come right back. We have Dick and Bill, and we have two lines open. And joining us in studio, Will Deschamps and Charlie Brown. It's going to be a great conversation. We'd love to have you be a part of it. 721-1290, or you can make your comments on our Facebook page. We're coming right back. Okay, we're back on Talkback, and we have a short segment here, so I want to get at least one more call in. Dick, you are on with our guests, Will Deschamps and Charlie Brown. Go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to comment on the question or the answers to the question about bringing things together if one, either Hillary or Trump win. And I think there's more to it than just bringing the country together. We have a legislative process in the United States that has failed us completely, and the people are totally disgusted with it. And I think somewhere along the line we need to reinstitute a similar program that Newt Gingrich did with, like, the contract with America, because people on both sides of the aisle, to include Sanders supporters, Hillary supporters, and God, Trump coming out of nowhere against the establishment Republicans, just goes to show that there's a much bigger concern in this country with regard to some of these issues. And we need to put some more credibility into the legislative process, not just the presidency.
Okay, thanks for the call. So, Charlie, we have like a minute and a half. So if you want to go ahead and address that from your
real quick, it goes back to what I was saying. When you look at the pollsters and what they're saying, the number one concern of the United States, the citizens of the United States, is the ineptitude of Congress. It has been for several years now. It continues to be. And you're right. People are frustrated. Is there an easy answer? Yeah. I think you put a good House leader and a good Senate leader in, it'll get things done.
Okay, what do you think, Will?
I think the reason that people, that Trump came out of nowhere is the fact, as Charlie said, there's a complete fracture between what happens in Washington, D.C. and what happens on the ground across the United States.
There's a real disconnect there.
They're absolutely disconnect. They don't trust them. They don't believe them. They, quite frankly, don't do what they say they're going to do when they're running for office, and that goes for both sides of the aisle. And that's why the popularity of Trump has come about, is that people have finally said, we've had enough. We want somebody that's going to go there and shake things up.
All right, so we're going to take our hard break here now at the top of the hour. So Bill in Maryland, and we also have Aaron Flint from the Gianforte campaign. Aaron, if you don't mind hanging on through the top of the hour break, stay with us. We will be right back after the top of the hour. 721. We do have one line open, by the way. It's 721-1290 or 1-800-568-5309.
Oh, I know.
And you can also make your comments on our Facebook page, and we'll pass those along to our guests as well. So keep it right here on KGVO. We'll be back. Okay, it's Election Day. Of course, we're talking politics, something we really love to do here on Talkback. We've got Will Deschamps with the Republican Party. We've got Charlie Brown representing the Democrats and the liberal side, and having a pretty rich conversation so far. Let's get to the phone. I want to get Aaron Flint on. He's the press secretary for the Gianforte campaign. Good morning, Aaron.
Hey, good morning. Great to hear everybody. Will Deschamps, great to hear you. You're doing a great job as always. Thanks for your service, Marines.
Thank you.
So what's on your mind, sir?
Well, I just think, I heard Representative Hill call in, and I've heard this kind of revisionist history coming from the Democrats about infrastructure and about bipartisanship. I mean, frankly, Steve Bullock couldn't even work with his own female lieutenant governor. He locked her out of her Twitter account and then booted her out of office because he couldn't handle apparently a strong woman serving underneath him. So he couldn't even work with a fellow Democrat, and yet some people are going to try to claim that somehow he worked in a bipartisan basis with Republicans. He vetoed more bills than any other governor in history. The infrastructure bill was a bill by Dwayne Ankeny, a Republican who's worked very well with both sides. And you know what Steve Bullock did to his infrastructure bill? He vetoed it. That's the history. This governor opposed infrastructure. But I think, though, the big picture here today is, of course, this is the real, what's the positive agenda moving forward? And I think, take Missoula, for example. The University of Montana, under Governor Steve Bullock's leadership as the governor, and, of course, who appoints the Board of Regents, the University of Montana is struggling. We all know that. What's a bright spot in Missoula? A bright spot are companies like ATG, high-tech companies. I opened up the University of Montana Alumni Magazine. You know where my fellow alumni are getting jobs at in Missoula right now, and high-wage jobs? At high-tech companies like ATG. And just a few days ago, there was a letter to the editor from Tom Sturgis at ATG crediting the strong working relationship and mentorship of Greg Gianforte as he started to create these highway jobs.
Okay, Aaron, hang on. We'd like to have a little bit of a conversation here. So,
yeah.
so I'm going to let Charlie go ahead and jump in on some of your comments. So go ahead, Charlie.
Well, I'm going to go back to what I saw in the Senate and House and how Bullock worked with both Republicans and Democrats to get several bills through. I'm not truly an aficionado on the infrastructure bill, so I'm not going to go there. But I do know several times he reached across the aisle and was successful. I do know that for the most part, both Democrats and Republicans in the Senate were pretty united on getting some things done. It once again was the House, much like it is nationally, that was causing most of the problems. So that being said, I'm going to restate what I said before, and Will and I have talked about it several times already today. We need to bring people together. We need to make sure that people start doing what Americans want them to do.
Okay, so Will, did you want to comment on that? Go ahead.
No, Aaron said it all. My only comment might be that when did it become fashionable to start beating up on somebody that's been financially successful, became wealthy, made his employees wealthy, and paid thousands and millions of dollars of taxes to the state of Montana? I don't understand that. And then the other thing is that Gianforte gets pegged with being from New Jersey when Juneau was born in California, and the fact that it's mind-boggling. Our current governor probably has less time as an adult in Montana than the Gianforte family does as adults. When Gianforte got to Montana as quickly as he could, our governor left Montana as quickly as he could and went to Washington, D.C.
Okay. So, Aaron, anything else? Go ahead.
Well, I think, okay, you're going to claim that because Bullock got two bills in 2 sessions, 4 years as governor, you're going to say because he got 2 pieces of legislation that he was able to sign, that's an element of bipartisanship. When he vetoed infrastructure 2 sessions in a row, I mean, I think we need real leaders who can actually work together to create high-wage jobs, and that's what Greg Gianforte did here in Montana, created over 500 high-wage jobs. First came here over 40 years ago, raised all 4 of his kids here, and that's the kind of leadership that Montanans are looking for today. So I think it's a really exciting day that people get to go out and vote. But I would just ask the question, I know, and first off, thanks to Charlie for being on Talkback, because I know Governor Bullock has never come on and taken phone calls from people. But
no.
If he's such a great coalition builder, why did he kick his lieutenant governor to the curb? Why did he lock her out of her Twitter account? That question's never been answered.
Well, Aaron, we're going to let you go because we're going to release this line. We appreciate your call. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
It's always a pleasure. Steve Bullock has not had great luck with lieutenant governors.
No, he hasn't. And, I frankly, I've heard stories. I don't know what that's all about, but there's 2 comments I want to make.
Okay.
I was carrying two bills. I didn't even mention those. Two bills that affected Montana greatly. The Republicans and Democrats, the thinking ones, voted 2/3 in the Senate and 2/3 in the House to get my bill through. In fact, the only real roadblock I had was the Senate Finance Committee and a Democrat from Butte, Montana, but we just overrode him. So,
Do you mind telling us what the bill was that was so thoughtful?
yeah, well, 393, Senate Bill 393. Anyway, the point being this, that what people found is they could work together and they could do things, and there will always be roadblocks. But, we've talked about this several times, and I am so tired of emails, who was born in Montana, who was raised in Montana, who has the greatest lineage in Montana. And every time I see that bumper sticker, Native Montana, and I'm thinking, have you heard of the Kootenai Salish? Have you heard of the Northern Cheyenne? Give me a break.
We're going to take a break. Hey, we'll take a break. Thank you. We'll just take that cue, and we'll come right back. Marilyn and Bill and Catherine are all waiting to visit with you. We also have one line open at 721-1290. You want to get on the conversation with Will and Charlie? We'll be right back. All right, we're back. Talk back, rolling right along. Marilyn, Bill, Catherine, all waiting. We also have some Facebook questions.
Yeah, the first one is actually kind of a big question. Do you think the Democrats will take the House?
Which house are you talking about?
The U.S. House.
U.S. House, okay.
If you think they have a shot at the Montana House, I'd like to hear it.
Go ahead, yeah.
No, I don't think they'll take either house. I think they will reduce the amount of Republicans in the National House simply from coattailing, and there are some good races in House races. The unfortunate thing I see with the House of Representatives and national scene, and this is something I don't like, is that the real vulnerable Republicans in the House this year, in the U.S. House now, are the more moderate ones. I don't like seeing those people go away. But anyway, that's my comment.
So, Will, what do you think?
I agree. We're going to hold the House nationally. I don't believe we're going to lose the Senate nationally, but Charlie has different ideas on that, and we're not going to lose either house here in the state of Montana.
Rob Natelson made a point yesterday. People have been very, very concerned, no matter who wins the election, about the Supreme Court. And Natelson, who is a constitutional scholar, said, whoever wins, whether it's Trump or Clinton, there will be enough opposition in Congress to make sure that they don't pack the Supreme Court with people that would be violently one way or the other. They will find a way, to either block one or approve the other. Do you guys agree with that? What do you think?
That hasn't happened yet.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I do, because the current nominee that, this is what this has been so divisive. The first person to nominate the gentleman that Obama introduced was Orrin Hatch, a conservative from Utah, conservative senator from Utah. He's an eminently qualified scholar. I've Googled him. I don't remember his name now. Too many names in the last couple of weeks. But he's an eminent scholar. He's considered moderate on almost everything. He's neither a Democrat nor a Republican. He talks about having voted for both. The fact of the matter is...
It's Merrick Garland.
Thank you. The fact of the matter is that's the kind of person I like to see.
Okay, let's get back to the phones. And Marilyn's been waiting the longest. Marilyn, thank you for your patience. Go ahead.
Okay, good morning. This whole mantra of getting things done is not the way I think. If getting things done takes away our liberty, our First Amendment, our freedom of religion, our Second Amendment, due process, if getting things done makes us less wealthy, have less property rights, I'm not for that. Never have been for that. If we have major gridlock, that's okay with me. The Democrats, the fact that, prosperous, wealthy, no. They'd rather have people controlled and dependent on them, and they won't be happy until they've turned Montana into a park. And Michael Moore, did anybody hear his little speech he gave. I mean, I've never liked Michael Moore, but if that wasn't an endorsement for the Republicans, I don't know what was, because it showed in every way how the Democrats are destroying this country. All over the country, you can see cities that have been run by Democrats. Everything's turned to crap. Our education system has turned to crap. And, you know, I would like our economy to be better, and I want property rights and speech rights. I don't want to be afraid to talk about the things that I believe in, and these put-downs that the Democrats do, calling us uneducated if we want to vote for Republican, or non-thinking if we vote for Republican. I mean, what a bunch of put-downs.
Okay, well, let's let these folks answer.
Yep.
So, Charlie, go ahead. I know you were shaking your head there. So. Oh, go ahead, Will. Sorry.
I'm speechless. No, I agree that if there's a movement to start to have us relinquish all of our freedoms that were guaranteed by either the state or national constitution or by our God, whoever that may be that you believe in, of course those are things that we don't want to see. But in order to get things done, sometimes you have to talk to somebody else. And I do not believe that just the Democrat Party has all of the answers. There are some answers that can come from the other side of the aisle. I may not like a lot of things, but if it's for the general good, then I'm in favor of it.
All right, Charlie, what do you think?
He articulated that very well. This isn't a matter of who's going to destroy the democracy. This is a matter of bringing people together and getting on the same page and passing legislation. Yeah, I think both sides have to swallow a little bit and realize they're not going to get all they want, but it's time. We don't need any more hate politics.
Okay, so go ahead. John, you have a Facebook question.
This is from Katie. She says, Charlie, you dismissed the email controversy as immaterial and irrelevant. How about the Clinton Foundation items? Is pay-to-play irrelevant also?
Yeah, let me put it this way. I don't know the ins and outs of the Clinton Foundation, but one thing I do know with absolute fact, they've donated $130 million to AIDS relief and vaccinations in Africa, which I think is tantamount to what they should be doing. They have Republicans and Democrats, major ones, donating to the foundation. I really don't see the relevance. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead, Will.
I've seen this on the internet, so I know it must be true. That only 6% of what they bring in is spent on what the money was raised for. But like I say, I saw it on the internet, and I know it must be true.
All right. And with that, we're up against a break. So we're going to come right back. Bill and Catherine, we also have two lines open. Charlie Brown, Will Deschamps joining us. We're having a spirited discussion, ladies and gentlemen. And when the microphones are off, we're talking about booze. So anyway, we're going to come right back with more in just a moment. Okay, we are back on Talkback. Having a great discussion here. Charlie Brown and Will Deschamps joining us here in studio. Folks on the phone, folks on Facebook, and John King. So what do you got, John?
Well, I have a question from David, but it ties into something I know here locally. Okay. One of my friends runs Selway Armory. You hear the advertisements regularly on our radio station. He has not been able to go hunting with me for weeks because everybody apparently in the world is freaking out that Hillary Clinton is going to be president and take all the guns away. And so he is like, no kidding. They have ramped up sales dramatically. And so this kind of ties into a question from David Moore. He asks, or Doc Moore, as you probably know him if you're voting. What are your thoughts on the Clinton plan to look at the Australian gun grab, which it turned out to be a disaster for citizens and actually increased the number of gun deaths in Australia because criminals don't follow the law?
Okay, we'll start with Will on that one. What do you think?
Well, if you've been keeping up to date on Australia, they are thinking now of rescinding that ban on guns because it has been such a catastrophe, apparently. I don't see any candidate, whoever it is, coming to get our guns. That would be completely
Impossible. It'd be impossible.
That'd be impossible. That's number one.
Good luck with that. Yeah.
I think that the genuine fear that one should have that believes in the Second Amendment is that should Hillary win the election, she is going to do what she can do to limit gun rights. She's said so in a fundraiser, and it's on tape, that the Supreme Court is wrong on the Second Amendment. So we have a basis for having some concern. But as far as somebody knocking on your door and coming in and grabbing your rifle or your pistol, that isn't going to happen.
Okay, Charlie, what do you think?
Well, first of all, Will said that well. The reality is there are millions and millions, if not trillions, of weapons that aren't even registered in the United States. Nobody's coming for your weapons. In regard to the legislation, what Hillary has said is that she backs the legislation for gun registration, people on the no-fly list and people that are on the terrorist watch list are not able to get guns. The guns be registered.
At least not legally,
Yeah, that's, to me, that's pretty non-consequential because I just said why. There's millions and millions of guns out there that have never been registered, so... And nobody's going to come take your guns away.
Okay, let's get Bill on the line. Bill, thanks for holding, sir. You're on. Go ahead.
Hey, guys, thanks a lot. It's really informative. Say, transparency is a word that everybody likes to mention when they're a candidate. And the Bozeman Chronicle has been criticizing Governor Bullock for refusing to provide information on about 40-plus Montana state employees who were fired for being whistleblowers when they tried to report some activity that they were thought was either wrong or illegal in the governor's office. And a lot of these people, including one of my friends, has worked for the state of Montana for over 10 years. And Bullock has paid out over $900,000 to these employees who claimed the governor fired him or had him demoted in retaliation for charges they made against him. And a lot of attorneys have said Bullock, by law, open records law, has to explain to the public what these charges are about. So what do you fellas feel? Should the governor be more transparent and honest about what's happening with these fired employees who are claiming that some things are being done illegal in the state government under Bullock's watch?
Okay, thanks, Bill. Just before Charlie answers that one, you guys are now rock stars. We had all four lines full.
Hey,
so there you go. A bottle of scotch for both of you. So.
Yeah, a Marine and an Army guy.
You technically did it before the first half hour, so you're at least a two-hit wonder now. So.
Go ahead, Charlie. What do you think about this transparency thing?
Well, first of all, I've read a little bit about this, and having been a state Fed employee as a veteran consular, I can tell you right now, if somebody is fired, you're not at liberty to discuss why they were terminated, period. The law says that, both state and federal. So, and by the way, Montana has the strongest human rights law in the United States. So attorneys use this law as a mentor for what you can do with a law for human rights of people. To give you an example, most state laws, most federal laws cover discrimination, age discrimination, and discrimination between 40 and 65. Many people used to come into my office and say, I'm going to file. I said, go for it. But you're not going to file with the feds. Now, Montana law says date of birth to date of death. So you are covered under Montana law.
Okay. So what do you think, Will?
Well, I'd like to see more transparency, too. I mean, the question begs, why is this amount as high as it is? And no one... I'm sure there are some of those cases, maybe that they can't talk about.
It's kind of looking like the Missoula County Sheriff's Office a little bit with all the money going out to everybody. That seems to be a concern in both departments there.
It should be a concern, and that's why I said I wish there were more.
Now,
more transparency.
Is the reason, as Charlie just stated, why can't Governor Bullock stand up and say, look, I hear all these questions, but by state law, I'm not allowed to talk about it because it's a personnel issue. So
maybe he could talk about why he kicked his lieutenant governor out to the corner. I bet you that's not covered under the color of law, but that would at least mitigate the concern that people might have that he's not as transparent as they would like him to be.
Well, yeah.
once again, first of all, I don't think people should discuss those kind of things. Secondly, two Democrats don't want to get in a fight with some Democrats over something that's gone by. That just makes no sense whatsoever. So I understand full well why he isn't commenting on that.
Okay. All right. We're going to take a quick break. Come right back. We have Catherine, Jerry, and Emmett on the line. And, of course, I'm sure we have more Facebook questions. We have Will Deschamps and Charlie Brown both here having a great discussion on Election Day. And while I've got you by the ears, I will ask you to make sure and get out there and vote today. If you haven't already, please do so today. All right, we're back on Talkback. 721-1290 is the number, 1-800-568-5309. Charlie Brown, Will Deschamps, John King, whoever I am today. All right, we have all four lines of humming here this morning. I wish you guys could be in on the conversations we have when the breaks are on. It's really interesting. So let's get Catherine on. Hi, Catherine.
Oh, good morning.
What's up?
Well, a couple things. One, I did want to say that California is looking at requiring registration to buy ammo. That's one of the things that they're talking about now. So, it's an incremental process to ban weaponry. I wanted to ask if I had sent you and John both an article by Pat Cadell. He's an analyst, and he worked for Jimmy Carter.
I did see that. Yeah, that's what I was referencing with the divided America.
Yeah. Well, he kind of encapsulated everything I have thought for a very long time, and did it in a much better way than I ever could. So I would recommend that you both of the people, your guests, read that. He talks about the increasing disconnect between the ruling elite, and that, of course, includes the big media, big business, big government, and they feed each other. And we've talked about this before, and they basically have very little, if anything, to do with the rest of us peons out here. So they have no concern about it, and they just don't understand why there is some sort of a middle class or lower middle class or upper middle class uprising out here. It's sort of a city mouse and the country mouse kind of idea. And so they have an increasing disdain for us because we just don't fit in their world. Sort of like the Hunger Games in the real world. So
Catherine, real quickly,
yes.
What do you think should be done about that, or can be done about that?
Well, funny you should ask that. I don't know whether, if anything, can be done immediately about that, but I've also been reading another book called The Fourth Turning, which talks about, and that's Strauss and Howell. I don't know if you've ever read that. Talks about the four major crisis points that have occurred in U.S. history, and we're coming up to another one. They're about 80 years apart. When the previous generation that went through the last one dies off, then the next one comes along, and we seem to be in that particular point in history again.
Okay, so real quick, do you have a question for our guests?
No, just wanted to recommend that they read that article.
Okay.
So,
gotcha.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks for the call. All right. So there you go. Let's get Jerry on the line. Jerry, you're on Talkback with our guests. Hi.
Thank you much.
Good morning.
What's on your mind, sir?
Everyone was talking about after the election, the country coming together. And my question is for both guests: I think everybody knows Clinton's going to win. Do you honestly think that Clinton has any intention whatsoever of reaching across the aisle and trying to work with Republicans when everyone knows how partisan she is? Do you honestly think that she has any intention at all of reaching across the aisle and working with the other party?
Okay, I'm going to start with Will on that. What do you think, Will?
Well, number one, I am not convinced that Hillary Clinton is going to win today or tomorrow or whenever the hanging chads are counted.
9:30.
9:30.
Tonight.
So, that being said, I agree with you. I do not believe that she will reach across the aisle. Her private persona is much more different than what her public persona is, particularly when she's running for office. That's what I hear from the small number of contacts that I have back east. Charlie has a much deeper depth on that sort of issue, but I am with you. I believe that we will be divided for some time should she be elected. And I think we'll be divided deeper than we would be if Trump was elected.
Charlie, what do you think?
I've said this before. I've said it on this program. I lobbied in D.C. for 20 years. And I watched Hillary Clinton reach across the aisle several times. And in fact, 3 important pieces of legislation I mentioned earlier today, she passed with the help of Conrad Burns, who was a conservative Republican from Montana, and they worked together on many, many bills. But 3 important pieces of legislation, including the Child Care and Child Education Acts, came as a result of their work, as well as the 911 centers across the country. So, no, I know she can reach across the aisle. I think the more important thing is who is going to lead the House and the Senate. And I think if the Democrats win the Senate, it'll be Chuck Schumer, and in the House, it'll be Paul Ryan. And I think those 2 men will get things done.
Okay, let's go back to the phones. And Emmett is up next. Emmett, good morning. You're on with our guests. Go ahead.
Oh, thanks for taking my call. Well, about the gun confiscation and that it probably couldn't happen here. Well, gun confiscation happened in Germany with Adolf Hitler. He was able to do it. Now, here's how it would have happened in America. If Clinton ordered a massive gun confiscation, it would be ordered, she would order the police departments across the United States and the sheriff, along with our military and National Guard, to go to all the places where people have registered their firearms and take them by force. It happened in Nazi Germany. It can happen here.
Emmett,
and I know it's unconstitutional,
Emmett,
but as we know...
Can I ask a question?
What?
Have you studied our Constitution at all, or
yes, I have. I have.
Or the way, I realize that you're very sincere in your belief about what you think may be happening, but I think both of our guests have already said that the chance that the government will come knocking at your door to take your guns is slim and none.
Except, though, that Hillary doesn't care about the Constitution. She's a tyrant. She's really she's a radical. I mean, they want to change our Constitution in ways and change American ways that we won't ever recognize. Remember, Adolf Hitler was elected, legitimately, by the people in Germany. This type of stuff can repeat itself. That's why I love Trump. He's going to save our union and save, our Second Amendment. So
all
that's
right.
all.
All right. Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
All right. So, gentlemen, you want to comment on that at all? Oh, no. Okay. So let's get Langston on the line. Langston, I believe you're a first-time caller. Hi.
It is. What's your first name?
Hello.
It's not Langston.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hello. You're on line 1. Who am I speaking with? All right. Stand by. So let's get Roy on the line. Good morning, Roy. You're on Talkback. Hi.
Hi, good morning, gentlemen. I'm not an elitist. I don't believe I'm above the law and things of that nature. I've been studying the Constitution most of my life. I just finished up Hillsdale College's 101, so I do know what I'm talking about, and I'm not bragging about it. I know my Constitution.
Okay.
Believe me.
So what's your question?
Well, first I'd like to make a statement. One thing, easy litmus test, or an easy test to find out who's a friend of our republic and the Constitution, and that is those who are not attacking the Constitution. Those people who are attacking our Constitution, our rights, want to change the Constitution without going through the proper process, the amendment process where the people are involved. They call themselves living constitutionalists. They want one man to change the Constitution, or 2 people can do it anytime they want for whatever they want without going through the people, the amendment process. Barack Obama is one of them, and he happens to be a Democrat. Hillary Clinton, I don't know if anybody remembers, but when the Clintons were in the White House, the worst government use of government power against American people I know in my lifetime was during their administration. Waco, Texas, Ruby Ridge, Idaho, and Amelia Gonzalez. I don't need to go into those. You can look up themselves, but they're horrible abuses of power.
Okay, so real quick, do you have a question for our guests?
Well,
because we're up against a break. That's why I'm asking. So.
Oh, okay. The thing I'd like to say is, the friends, you want to know who to vote for. Vote for people who are standing up for the Constitution and want to preserve it and aren't attacking it. And that's very few anymore.
Okay. So is that your question?
Well, my question is, why does this guy on there from representing the Democrats?
That's Charlie Brown. Yeah.
Why does he support Hillary Clinton, who's one that is blatantly want to go along with Barack Obama's attack on our Constitution. I'd like to know how he can support it and why he does support it.
Okay, well, we will ask him that when we come back from our break. So hang on, Charlie. And we also have Bill and Tim, and we'll be right back. Stay with us. Okay, and with that, we're back on Talkback. 721-1290 is our number. Now, Charlie, do you want to address the whole Constitution thing that Roy was upset about?
I don't think anyone that runs for the presidency is going to destroy our Constitution. And frankly, Hillary Clinton is the best qualified person that has run for president just simply by her years in the Senate, what she's done across this country for children and women, what she's done, as in my opinion, as a whole, as Secretary of State. You know, the president has said that. Even George Bush Sr. has said that. And obviously there are a lot of people that know that. And Hillary was not attacked until she filed for president.
Okay,
Let's keep that in check.
Will, go ahead. What do you
Well,
think?
the reason I like soon-to-be President Trump is the fact that he's going to undo all of the supposedly illegal things that the current president has done without concurrence of any legislative body.
Okay, let's get Bill on the line then. Bill, you're on Talkback. Hi.
Hello. I'm curious about the ad about Langston, about the rape and the drugs and all that stuff.
Yes, sir.
That seems like a race to the sewer to me. That's what's poisoning the system,
I don't think you'll find any
now.
argument in that.
But now it's also, as a side note, it's on your radio station. How does that work? Who decides that? And how bad do they have to be before they're not aired?
Well, here's the thing. We've actually done quite a bit of investigation because Peter and I were both shocked by the ads.
Yeah.
And here's what I can tell you after interviewing both of the judicial candidates. One of these guys is definitely a dirtbag.
Don't sugarcoat
There's
it, just say what you think.
possibly both of them. But either you have a slanderer who will say the most outrageous things to throw someone else under the bus just for a political gain, or you have a guy that actually did some of these horrible things, and frankly, buying meth from a 13-year-old, giving that 13-year-old alcohol, these things are horrible things. We wouldn't expect that of any leader in America. I mean, there's lines that we should not abide by, right? And that's one of them. Endangering the lives of children is one of them. So if that really happened, if that stuff really happened, absolutely, that's horrible. If they are all made up lies about this guy, that's absolutely horrible. Now, there's also the third option. They're both partially true, and they're both kind of horrible. And frankly, that's kind of where I'm wondering if maybe the truth lies. I personally don't know. As far as who buys the advertisement was bought by Robert Myers, the candidate in this race.
Right.
As far as who played the ads, Town Square Media paid for them or played them because they were bought. Just like you might buy a billboard. We have to open the doors to all political candidates. We have to charge a similar fee to all the candidates.
Yes.
And so that's how it ended up on the radio.
And by the way, the political rate is always the lowest by law. It's the lowest on the rate scale for any advertiser.
I see. I was just curious.
Yeah, well, thanks for your call. We appreciate it.
But yeah, Ravalli County District Judge, 21 voters, you have a difficult choice.
Yes, we do. All right, so let's move along. Get Tim on the line. Tim, thanks for holding. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning. I was just curious which Hillary Clinton these people have been listening to, because the one I saw last month outright stated is one of the first things she's going to do when she gets into office is sign an executive order immediately appealing the Second Amendment. And as you all know, Hillary Clinton has been caught in many understandings.
Well, now, Tim, where exactly was this stated? Can you share that?
Every speech you have.
Say again?
Where exactly was this stated?
On news.
Okay. So this is actually, I know a little bit of background on this. This is a misinterpretation of one of the Project Veritas interviews they did with the senator.
Yeah, thanks for your call.
The senator was asked by someone that was pretending to be an anti-gun rights person,
right?
What Hillary would be able to do about the gun issue in America. They were really talking about not repealing the Second Amendment, but about doing something similar nationwide to what we did here in Missoula with the expanded background checks. Okay, right. And the senatorial candidate in this video says that he believes that Hillary Clinton will pass an executive order to get that that process a nationwide sort of situation. That's not Hillary Clinton herself that said that. That was another senator that probably has close ties to Hillary Clinton saying it in the background to someone that he thought was on his side when it comes to that issue. Does it look kind of suspicious? It totally looks suspicious. There's a reason why the video is floating around and why people know about it, and it's because it's not the thing that people would like to talk about outside to everybody, but they'll talk about behind closed doors when they're getting paid for it. It was a fundraiser.
So we're going to come right back. We have a 1-minute timeout, and we have Eric and Roy, and we're going to come right. We have 2 lines open, by the way. It's 721-1290. Talk back, rolling right along. Believe it or not, folks, we are rapidly approaching the time where we're going to be done. It's going to been a great conversation so far. I want to thank all of our callers. We have more to come, though. Let's get Eric on the line. Eric, you're on with Will Deschamps and Charlie Brown. Hi.
Yes, sir. Hi, how you doing?
Excellent. What's on your mind?
I just had a couple questions for the gentleman there. I believe he was...
Is it Charlie?
Yeah, Charlie.
Okay,
yes, sir.
Go ahead.
How is he not apoplectic by the fact pattern that followed Hillary Clinton around? And it points to her criminality. There are so many stories out there. There are stories from WikiLeaks. There are stories from the New York Post. There are stories everywhere talking about the criminality of the Clinton initiative, about Hillary Clinton herself. How can he defend this woman? I'd honestly like to know.
Okay.
Knowing what he knows about the possibility for wrongdoing.
Okay, thanks for the call. So, Charlie?
Well, first of all, it's the New York Times and the Washington Post. I haven't read those stories, so I don't know what he's referring to. But quite frankly, the rumors and innuendos in this campaign have been exhausting. And I'm really fed up with both sides for what they have done. And I think what they've done is disgrace the American voting system. And I think that we have to get back to a brighter, more positive place in this nation.
Okay, Will, did you want to comment on that? Nope. Okay. So let's get, I believe, Roy, is this your second visit with us?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment on the gentleman from representing the Democratic side.
Real quickly.
Yeah. He said that Hillary Clinton doesn't want to confiscate guns. According to the NRA, I'm a member of the NRA, and according to the NRA, I'm her public enemy, number one. She has proposed in looking at seriously the Australian model of confiscation, and as far as that goes, she said she's looking at the First Amendment too. That's a freedom of speech and freedom of religion.
Okay, I hate to do this to you, but...
In the comment, let me finish. Can I finish, please?
If you'll hurry, we have other callers, and we're running out of time, man.
I won't take that long.
You've already been on once, so go ahead.
About gun confiscation in the United States. In Connecticut, they have confiscated. They had a local ordinance where they confiscated the firearms of the people of Connecticut. To say that can't happen here in this country is being naive.
Okay.
And I'd like him to comment on that.
All right, thank you. So, Charlie, anything about gun confiscation in Connecticut?
I don't know of any guns confiscation anywhere in this country.
Okay.
And I think that comment's ridiculous.
Go ahead, John.
I also think it's ridiculous. Hillary Clinton did say the Australian model was worth looking at. That's a serious candidate saying something very serious. The Australian model is gun confiscation. There's a reason people are freaking out about this woman. I think she's an idiot for saying it. She probably does too. So go out and vote. You only have 2 choices, apparently, and they're both really bad.
Okay. All right. Henry, you've been waiting the longest. What's on your mind? Go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, fellas. I'd just like to ask the Democrat a couple questions. Which of his
Thanks for coming, Will.
I'm leaving now.
Go ahead, Henry.
Which of his most deeply held beliefs is he willing to compromise on after the election? And after Election Day, will I no longer be a racist and a deplorable? And what does he think about the fact that Hillary's actually said she wants to shut down coal miners and put coal miners out of work and coal businesses?
Okay.
Thanks, fellas.
All right. Thanks for the call, Henry. Go ahead, Charlie.
I think it's one of the hardest decisions we have to make in America right now. We have industries that are quite frankly are archaic and creating a lot of health hazards and a lot of things that need to be addressed. The coal issue has been tantamount. I think what we need to do is address those issues, but it's not as easy as it sounds. People can talk about retraining, and I've watched retraining programs in my work with the VA and the Department of Labor. And I can tell you, when you take someone that's 60 years old and has spent 30 years in an industry, and you say, now I'm going to make you a techie, that doesn't work well. So we have to find alternatives. We have to figure out how we're going to do this practically.
Okay, now we have 2 minutes left in the program, and I know, Will, we've been giving you a short shrift because everybody's picking on Charlie. So,
well, it
so
is.
I wanted to give you, go ahead.
I thought this was Missoula. I thought he was going to get all the positive calls. Let me talk about the coal issue and the fact that people are threatening to shut down all the coal miners. The coal issue will go away when the first liberal goes to turn on their light and the light doesn't come on. That's when you'll start to see the coal issue move in a more positive attitude. That being said, we do need to look at all their alternatives. But when you look at wind right now, the only reason wind works when it does work when the wind's blowing is because it's being subsidized by the federal government. Solar only works when the sun's shining. People say, well, we'll store it on batteries. Well, what little research I've done is there's no batteries yet that will be able to store the amount of power that you need to get you through a dark area in a large city or even a medium city. So I know that people and industries are looking at different alternatives, but until some alternative comes that we can afford, we're going to have to rely on coal. Now, that being said, my favorite is uranium. I think that we ought to have nuclear plants. France has been doing it for years. I think a large percentage of their power is provided by nuclear. So it's
all right. So we're almost out of time. So Charlie, a quick thank you for being with us. A quick final comment.
Well, I appreciate your time, and I would tell everybody, Democrat and Republican, get out and vote today. Vote your conscience. Vote for people that'll make America great. Not great.
We'll just had a heart attack.
Yeah.
We're all stronger together because of that comment. Thank you very much, Charlie.
and we are out of time. I want to say thanks to
we gotta
Charlie.
Go forward into the next segment.
That's right. I want to say thanks to Charlie, Will, and to all of our callers. Sorry for Mark and Candy, we couldn't get you on. But you guys have a great day. We will see you tomorrow. And go vote!